guess who's back? Back again. It's Corbin. Corbin's back. Let's go. How we doing, everybody? Let me get this pre-stream out of here. Boom. Yeah, that's right. That's me. This is Corbin. I'm here. I'm ready to roll. I'm excited. We're live here on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, why don't you also follow me over on Kick? That would be kick.com/Corbin Dauster. Dauster. All of you are breathtaking. Every one of you. You're breathtaking. You're breathtaking. I really appreciate you joining me here. You can also follow me on X. That's right. That's right. I'm like an octopus. I've got my tentacles everywhere. So follow me on X as well. That's x.com/Corbin Dauster, or just at Corbin Dauster on X. On TikTok, we don't have anything up yet, but we will soon. I think tonight, because today's going to be a short stream, tonight I'm going to be editing some short clips, some short form content to be putting up on TikTok. And you can find that Corbin's Briefs. And you can also find that Corbin's_briefs on Instagram as well. I appreciate you all coming. We've got a really exciting story today. I wasn't really planning on doing 2 streams in a row, but you know, what are you gonna do? I really don't have a choice. You see, today a senator was arrested. Yeah, that's right. Things are going a little crazy. Things are going a little bit crazy, I think. So I'm pretty excited to cover all that stuff. I think today my voice sounds a little bit better than it did before. So yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about today. It's getting kind of wild out there. The riots are still going on. It seems like maybe they've calmed down. I'm not sure. We're going to find out kind of together. I only know a couple of the headlines today. Everything's super fresh. You know, if we've got time toward the end and I'm feeling energetic, maybe we'll watch some more Pegasus. I really can't be bothered to do a live react to Nux Taku as much as I'd love to. You see, the issue is that Nux Taku's videos are already an hour long, you know what I mean? And it took us almost that long to get through like a 22-minute more Pegasus video yesterday, you know, and I don't really want to, that's just a lot, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but there's some stuff to cover, guys. I'm excited. I've got my beer here. And we've got a good amount of videos to watch pertaining to the senator mostly. So let's hop right into it. Let's start with the story here from The Guardian. Senator Alex Padilla forcibly removed from Kristi Noem's LA press conference. Okay, now, I think it's the DHS has an official statement on this too, but let's take a look and see what's covered in this story. Alex Padilla, a Democratic California senator and vocal critic of the Trump administration, excuse me, burping it up. Let me start over. Alex Padilla, a Democratic California senator and vocal critic of Trump administration's immigration policies. I'm worried that this is a little loud too. There we go. Much better. Was forcibly removed and handcuffed as he attempted to ask a question at a press conference held by Kristi Noem. The Homeland... Okay. I guarantee you he attempted to ask a question at a press conference held by Kristi Noem. I guarantee you that there is way, more going on to the story than that. Guarantee you. I am certain that they are lying here, or it's a lie by omission. People are ruthlessly cowards, and they've been truth vaccinated. It can't enter their body. It gets beaten off by antibodies, anti-truth antibodies the moment that it enters in through one ear. It just gets stopped. So let's take a look here. And this happened in LA on Thursday, so this was actually yesterday. In video taken of the incident that has since gone viral on social media, Padilla is seen being restrained and removed from the room by Secret Service agents. "I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary," Padilla shouts as he struggles to move past against the men pushing him back toward the exit. "Hands off," Padilla says at least 3 times. Outside the room, he is pinned to the floor and placed in handcuffs. Emerging afterward, Padilla, the ranking member of the Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration, Citizenship, and Border Safety, said he and his colleagues had repeatedly asked DHS for more information on its increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions, but had not received a response to his inquiries. If this is how the administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the DHS responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers throughout the LA community and throughout California and throughout the country. Padilla, the son of immigrants from Mexico, told reporters, "We will hold this administration accountable." The extraordinary scene stunned his Democratic colleagues from Capitol Hill to California, though his actions drew criticism from the Republicans, including the House Speaker Mike Johnson, who called for Padilla's censure. It comes amid escalating tensions between California and the federal government after Donald Trump deployed National Guard troops and Marines to LA to quell protests prompted by immigration raids over the objections of the state's governor and the city's mayor. "I am shocked by how far we've descended in the first 140 days of this administration," Adam Schiff, the junior senator from California, said in a speech from the Senate floor shortly after viewing the video of the incident. "What is becoming of our democracy? Are there no limits to what this administration will do? Is there no line that they will not cross?" Do we finish this, guys? I don't know. I feel like we got the gist of it. What else could they really say here? Well, here it's got the statement from the DHS. So let's continue a little further and see what else we can get. In a statement, the DHS said the senator chose disrespectful political theater and disrupted a live news conference. They falsely claimed that Padilla had failed to identify himself and believed he was an attacker when he lunged. Hold on. They falsely claimed that Padilla had failed to identify. Okay, so here we go. Here we go, gang. It begins. Don't believe your lying eyes. We haven't watched any of the coverage yet. Okay? That's true. But this is the media, and they are the enemy of the people. They lie about everything. So I am tempted to say right out of the gate that it clearly he must not have. Like, I just don't believe that he identified himself as a senator and then was tackled to the ground. Let's see. He believed he was an attacker when he lunged toward Nome as she delivered remarks. Mr. Padilla was told repeatedly to back away and did not comply with the officer's repeated commands. Look. Is it? Yeah. The department said in a statement posted on X, adding that the officers responded and acted appropriately. The deputy FBI director, Dan Bongino, accused Padilla of not wearing a security pin and said he physically resisted law enforcement when confronted. Our FBI personnel acted completely appropriately while assisting Secret Service, and we're grateful for their professionalism and service, Bongino added. Nome was in L.A. to accompany federal agents on immigration operations. Okay, I don't care why it was in L.A. We can move on. Let's just move on. Why you can rely on the Guardian not to bow to Trump or anyone. Okay, well, see, this is telling me a lot of what I need to know already. I guarantee you that this article is filled with lies. In fact, I'd like to keep it up. We're going to keep it up, and we're just going to go and watch some of this live stuff going on here and see what's really happening. We have interview afterward. No. Pete's no, that's a different video. Okay, I don't think they're all on here. Let's go take a look. Alright, yeah, we've got a couple videos here, so let's start. Let me turn off the sound. Alright, so this was breaking 5 hours ago. It's really not how breaking news works, but okay, because this happened yesterday. But let's take a look here.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your...
Okay, so in this clip he did identify himself right here at the beginning. No security pin though, like Dan Bongino said. He didn't say that he didn't identify himself. Dan Bongino just said that he wasn't wearing a security pin. Thing about Dan Bongino is he is not a liar. He's not going to mess with the truth here at all. But this was cut. Like, this was cut out. There's no intro here. Like, well, look how... Where is Kristi Noem? Look, where is she? Is she right over here? This is a terrible video, really.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
Yeah, he did start yelling hands off. Okay, he stopped resisting right there after he got kicked out. This isn't the whole story.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I stand behind my back.
All right, cool. Other hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here. I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here per FBI regs.
Okay, so... there's something very cathartic about watching a Democrat getting arrested. This video we'll call Priapism. Priapism? I don't know words like that. What is a Priapism? I'll bite. Prolonged... Michael Malice, you silly boy. It's a medical condition. I'm not gonna lie. I do feel that though. Like, not literally, but I was just saying right before I read this that this was very cathartic to watch. I want to see more Democrats getting arrested. They've been insane and it needs to stop. Let me see if I can find the full video here. Let's see. Here's a 4-minute version from CBS 4 minutes ago.
A press conference held by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ground to a halt when a senator was kicked out. Take a look.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary.
See, this is cut
California
even further
Democratic
back.
Senator Alex Padilla there first spoke out while Noem was describing the so-called burdensome leadership in the state. talk about this, CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small joins us now from...
I want to see the actual video. I don't care what this guy has to say about it, or this guy. Like, this guy's... Okay, let's see. Does this give us more? No. 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 I want to see the full video. Okay, here's another angle in the room. Okay, so she's up here.
Law enforcement agency there, and they
look at how close he ran up to the front. Okay, this is where he says, I'm a senator, after he's already being pushed out. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's always some obfuscation. It's what's so... I think it's actually Michael Malice who says that. It's true, factual, but not truthful. Okay, yeah, he identified himself after he rushed the front of the room and had, like, look at where he's at by the time she's right here.
Law enforcement agency.
He's all the way beyond this front row. Okay, and this guy's already got hands on him.
There, and they believe that it's time that...
Okay, I don't care what these people have to say about it. Let's see. Here we go.
Exaggerate and embellishing. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla.
There you
I
go.
have questions for the secretary.
There you go. I want to still see even more, because how long was he up front? Look how far up he was. He rushed the front of the room.
And embellishing. Sir.
Yeah, look, dude. If you were in the back of the room and you were like, I'm Senator Padilla, you know, what are you talking about? Like, this is crazy. But, like, even then, it's obviously political theater, but you can't do this. Let's keep watching.
Hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals.
And this is a live broadcast that he's interrupting, too. Okay. All right, now we can move on to some of these other topics here. Let's go over... Let's see. As he attempted to ask a question. Remember I called that out? Yeah. Yeah, that's not what attempting to ask a question is. That's rushing the front of the room to try to take over the press conference. Okay? Totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate. Okay. Let's hear what Kristi Noem has to say about this.
It's good to have you with us today. We all saw what happened in the video of that room when he was physically taken out, and you heard just now his response, and I understand you had a personal conversation with him as well. So what do you want to say about all of this?
You know, what I would say is we were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles. And this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. So as soon as he identified himself, appropriate actions were taken. But I would say that, I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was, that until he was already had been lunging forward and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time, and that this, we're leaders.
See, that was my first thought, is like, that's what it looked like. It looked like he was way too high up. You start this video in the middle of the action. By the time all the videos that these other places were showing had started, he was already being pushed back. When the quote-unquote full video we watched was happening, he already had hands on him by that guy. So how far up did he try to go before that even happened? We still haven't seen the whole video. The whole video would be before he was up in the front of the room until he was arrested. That would be the full video, but nobody seems to understand what that is anymore.
or public servants. And if he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him. That coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong, and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information, and I think that's the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning instead of creating a scene like this.
Well, you're saying that nobody knew who he was, and if they did, he would have been treated differently. And you just heard his comment. He said, if this is the way they treat a U.S. senator, you can only imagine how others are being treated in these deportation efforts. What would you say to that, Secretary?
Yeah. I think his statement is absolutely ridiculous. This man burst into a room, started advancing towards the podium, interrupting an opening statement, elevating his voice, shouting questions. People tried to stop him from interrupting the press conference. He refused and continued to lunge towards the podium, and that is when he was removed from the room. So the way that he acted was completely inappropriate.
I believe Kristi Noem. I mean, look, when you look at all these videos cut up and the language used in this article, throughout the article, okay, this is pretty clear to me that it's more media lies. And, you know, if I had bet, if I had made a bet on this, I would have won. You know, like, they can't help but to lie. They're not capable of telling the truth. They're not capable of covering a story fairly. That's just how it is.
It wasn't becoming a U.S. senator or a public official, and perhaps he wanted the scene, and that's what he wanted. But I think the American people are sick of this kind of action. I think the American people are tired of this. They just want the truth, and they just want to know what's happening, and that's what we were trying to provide.
True. I think I just excuse me again. I think I just demonstrated that pretty well. Yeah. I know I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this shit. That's a fact. Everything's a lie that comes out of these people's mouths. Everything. It's just insufferable. Like, I can't physically deal with it anymore. You know, it's just too much. It drives me crazy.
We just had a Democrat and a Republican panelists, and both sides agreed that they felt this was unbecoming behavior of a United States senator. But apparently Chuck Schumer doesn't feel that way. Senator Schumer, here's what he just had to say. Watch.
I'd rather watch his whole statement separately, so let's go ahead and do that now. Because we have it pulled up on one of these. So I thought we did. No, maybe not. Okay, maybe we will watch this. That's okay. We can go with it.
President, I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the hell went on.
How can these federal agents get away with this? Is the President of the United States telling folks to go down and start arresting United States senators?
What would you say?
Am I tripping, or did that guy sound really Canadian? Is that guy actually a secret Canadian? Does anyone know? Does anyone know who that guy is? If you know, comment, please. I genuinely have no clue. I have no clue who that is.
Say to them, Secretary.
Well, he was never arrested. He was never arrested, and nobody knew who he was when he came into the room creating a scene. He was removed from the room, and yes, they started to put handcuffs on him when he finally identified himself, and then that was stopped. They said he wants to talk to you. I said, sure, I'd love to.
So you're telling me that the original video was also cut early at the end, and he wasn't arrested. They put him in cuffs, and then someone was like, no, he's not lying. He really is a senator, probably an aide. And then they released him immediately. They took him right out. So he was detained for a few minutes. Typical. Honestly, typical. I'm not even surprised. This is just how it goes.
sit down and visit. So we went to a room and visited for 10 or 15 minutes and then exchanged phone numbers. So I just, you know, I'm so sick of the politics, Martha. This is literally people's lives. We have criminal gangs and terrorists out on our streets that we're trying to remove from Los Angeles. I mean, people just need to get over themselves and have the backs of law enforcement and this president who just want to clean up America and make it safe again.
Yeah,
I think that's enough of that. You know, for me, it's just so obvious what this stuff is because I was here, I was alive, you know, and I remember just a couple of months ago when another representative was interrupting and attempting to be censured in the House. What was his name? Al Green. When Al Green was interrupting and then kicked out, he was removed because he was also doing political theater, yelling that Trump's a Nazi and blah, 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 waving his cane around like a tired old man. And then this happened.
On this vote, the yeas are 224, the nays are 198, with 2 answering present. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order. Shh.
Look at this.
Will Representative Green present himself to the well?
And there he is.
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured.
Toward the cameras.
That Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure.
And he starts yelling and singing.
And that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading
and
of this
the rest of them join in.
by the Speaker.
And now everybody's singing. They should all be removed. I would have directed the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove every single one of them.
The House will come to order. The House will come to order.
They won't stop singing.
What's it?
Other Republicans are calling for order.
You want to let them keep doing this, or totally fair?
The House will come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business.
This is obstruction of official business. This is not legal. This is what people were trying to accuse and charge the January 6th protesters with. Exactly what they're doing.
Pursuant
what
to Clause
every
12A
Democrat in this room,
the
every
House
single
will
one of
stand
those.
in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
And so then Mike Johnson, with his tiny ball sack, goes to recess. He gives in. He gives them exactly what they want. They succeed in doing what they accuse the January 6th protesters of trying to do. And every single one of these people wanted a grandmother and people who were getting tours by the police of the White House on January 6th, wanted every single one of those people in prison for life and charged with insurrection. They wanted to put the president, the former president at the time of the United States, in prison for 700 years. This is, and they're doing it. And then they get away with it. Because Mike Johnson is also a chicken shit bastard, and he just lets him do it. Lets him do it, walks away from the whole thing. Okay, forget it. I guess he doesn't get censured.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
All right? Just gives up. So, yeah, I'm old enough to remember that, which is how I knew immediately that this whole story from The Guardian was totally full of shit. Okay, if you just remember things that happened a couple of months ago and you don't get all wrapped up in all this stuff, this is really hard or really easy to predict, you know, really easy to predict. Okay, let's move on to this story. Let's see, California mayor describes psychological impact of the ICE raids on his community.
Welcome back. This week, as you know, we have covered immigration enforcement activity all across the country and the protests that have also sprouted across the country, where officials in a majority
riots
Latino community that has yet to encounter these raids, it's starting to feel like that a raid is only a matter of time. On the big screen right in front of me, I'm joined now by the mayor of Montebello, California, Salvador Melendez. Mr. Mayor, it's great to see you. Wait a minute, I don't see you, Mr. Mayor. There we go. Well, I'm going to look over here because I can't see you on the big board. Anyway, Mr. Mayor, it's great to see you. You are quoted as saying immigration.
This guy needs an actually like fedora. This guy is. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about this. Actually, like, where's the lie? Like, these are all that guy. These are all the actually guy. Actually.
Customs and Enforcement hasn't
Same
arrived,
vibe.
but the sense in your community is that they're already there, psychologically. What do you mean by that?
That's correct. You know, for the past 7 days, these ICE raids have impacted all of our neighboring cities. City of LA, we're right next to East LA. We're less than 15 minutes
Sounds
from
like an
the city of LA.
guy
And
too.
as I mentioned,
This guy has a
even though
Discord kitten.
physically ICE has not been or provided or has done any raids in the city of Montebello, psychologically they're here in our community. And what I mean by that is that our community's in fear. Our community's not going to work. Our community is staying home. There's so much fear in our community to just even.
If you're an illegal immigrant, you should be in fear of being deported in this country. That's the appropriate feeling. You shouldn't be comfortable.
Go out and do their daily task, and that's because it's just, we all feel that it's just imminent on when ICE is going to come to our communities. It's extremely a difficult time, a frustrating time, and it's a fear that has been already planted in our communities.
Is it affecting basic things such as school attendance, work attendance, people showing up to do things in hospitals or other parts of your community?
Absolutely. I've talked.
Okay. You want to... I bet you that's a lie. Let's see. I'm going to show the result here. How often is school attendance reported in Los Angeles County? Let's take a look. Attendance as of 6/10. Attendance rate last 5 days, 85%. 2024 is 93%. So it does appear that if this is true, data is current as of 7 p.m. So they do daily. They do daily. All right. Well, there you go. I assumed it would be a lie. I was proven wrong. Apparently, school attendance is down.
Talk to a lot of the business owners here in the community, and it's not just their staff that's not showing up.
95% is pretty good, actually.
But it's also, you know, seeing the impact in some of the businesses in the food industry where people are not going to eat. There's just people are just staying home. And let me make this clear: it's not that these folks.
Or maybe people just staying home because out front is a riot? Or is it truly because they're just terrified of being deported because they're illegal?
Are undocumented or don't have a legal status. It's just that there's a fear that the administration is currently. Sorry about
the
that.
Power went out.
Motion detecting lights. I know how they work.
There we go.
Got the clapper.
This
Gotta
is
install
a
the
highly
clapper.
informal conversational show, Mr. Mayor,
All right,
and
there
I
we
thank
go.
you for adding to that flair. There we go. It's not a
Apologize
power
for that.
outage. It's
Look
just
at
a
the
motion
slide,
detected
right?
light.
That's it. But where I was getting to, it's we've seen the impact that it's had in our communities, and a lot of these folks, a lot of these workers, a lot of the the people that go into these businesses, they have status.
I had to add the smoke
mere
detector.
fact of feeling like they're being targeted because they're Latino, because they look a certain way, and that's the fear that's being created, not just in Montebello, but in all of our surrounding communities.
So I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you heard Ron Vitello, who is a senior advisor to Customs Border Protection on our program just a few moments ago. But he said it's propaganda for anyone to say that there can't be enforcement, even for those who are not criminals in our country who entered illegal. Anyone who entered illegally can and should be rounded up.
Look, let me be clear. Folks that come here are hardworking individuals that just want to make sure that they have they can provide for their families. And I can tell you that my father came here undocumented, and he came here because he wanted to provide us with a better life. And he loves his country. He's a proud American. He's been able to become a citizen, and he's been able to build something here. And a lot of these families and a lot of these people have that same.
Well, that's why a lot of people want to come here, and that's okay. The question is, are they doing it legally? Like currently, for my personal life, and I'm not going to get into detail for various reasons, I am going to be dealing with immigration for the United States for the next few years. Okay? And there's several reasons why. Really one reason, but it's gonna be complicated and time consuming and expensive. It'll require visas, it'll require lawyers, and it's gonna be worth it because it's necessary. This idea that people can skip the line it's just insanity. It's got to be infuriating. It's got to be. If you're somebody who's here legally and your family went through all the effort and money that it takes and time mostly to get here, how are you going to let this continue? Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it. You've got to be like, I guess that's why the legal immigrant approval for deportations is well above 50% now.
Story. We're not criminals. We're not folks that.
Well, hold on. If you came across the border or overstayed your visa, you are a criminal, definitionally. It is a violation of U.S. law to be in the country without a visa, without a work visa of any kind, a regular visa, or as a non-citizen. Period.
Are breaking the law. There's just we want to have a better life, and I think that's the mixed messaging that's being sent out there, that anybody who crosses here is an illegal criminal that is here to take advantage of this country, that's not producing, that's not that's taking advantage of our system. Look, we have hardworking people here that this country needs in order for us to continue to be the nation that we are. We're a nation of immigrants.
It's just so tiresome. Yeah, sure, maybe they are hardworking. What are they doing with that money? They're sending it back home to their families, right? Where it goes further. There's so many like illegal immigrant tourists, so to speak, right? They come here, they sneak across the border, they work, they send their money back, and then they go back after a period of time. There's a lot of people who do that. During Biden, there were people who were crossing the border to go to Buffalo Wild Wings. That's what they said, right? That's what they were reporting that they were doing. So I, don't really care how hard they work. The issue is one that I went over in my stream a little bit yesterday. For every one of these people that are here illegally, unfairly, that is a fraction of a percentage of the workforce that's filled up, which means that it's driving down the value of your labor by that percentage. Okay? Yesterday, we figured it was about, if on the high, let's go with the low. On the low end, it's 3.5% of your income being deducted because the value of your labor is down 3.5% of the population of the United States. It's supply and demand. If there's 3.5% more cars, those cars will be 3.5% less expensive. It's not one for one like that, but that's not really the point.
And this fear mongering, these tactics of just raiding, Home Depots, going after the food vendors, going after.
I met a guy recently who started his own business as a contractor in January. He is now making $1 million a year, or his company is making $1 million a year. He's paying himself $6,000 a month. Do you think that him and his employees would prefer to be the ones getting those contracts that the illegal immigrants are taking from in front of Walmart? I think they should be raided.
Folks that work in the car wash. This is not going after criminals. This is going after.
See, these people aren't empathetic. They're on the wrong side of history. I can't say this enough, okay? They're not empathetic. They just hate you.
They're hardworking families, and we're breaking families apart. We take the breadwinner of the family. Guess what now? Now there's 2 kids that don't have somebody to produce for them, or don't have won't be able to, might be homeless, and this is just creating an issue.
Yeah, the issue is that they're here illegally. That's what the issue is. I'm done with this guy. Done with him. Get out of here. Let's move on to the next story. All right, here we have, this is why rioters are hiding their identities. So this is Fox, so it's going to be more of a right bend to it. Just so you know. And let's see. Let's take a look. Whoa!
Following the potential money trail of the chaos in Los Angeles, Republican Senator Josh Hawley.
Guys, 4th of July is next month.
He says he is launching an investigation trying to find out if left-wing groups with deep pockets.
There's something that seems intentionally ironic about using fireworks as weapons when 4th of July is right around the corner and fireworks are how you celebrate 4th of July. Maybe I'm just, too conspiratorial minded, but that's just kind of what it seems like to me. I don't know.
They're helping to support those violent anti-ICE protests.
These aren't spontaneous at all. They're about as authentic as AstroTurf. They are bought and paid for flash mobs. And I want to know who's doing the buying and the paying. That's why today I've launched an investigation.
That's an excellent point, Josh Hawley, and I want to see if I can find this. They're saying these are false. I saw them in the background of a video. So I don't think that they're telling the truth here. They sure do like to debunk things immediately with no evidence. What if we take a look at this picture? Oh. Okay, so I was going to point out the bricks left lying around at the Black Lives Matter protest sites. It is absolutely true that there were. There was people doing on-the-ground reporting in certain cities during the Black Lives Matter protests. And you could see multiple pallets of bricks in corners of streets, just planted and sitting there. Who dropped them off and why they dropped them off, that's one thing. but they were 100% dropped off. Look at this. Fake videos, but this is CBS, who just lied to us less than 30 minutes ago. They were lying to us. Okay? So, I wouldn't be surprised at all. They were throwing bricks, but you also can see in some videos that they were breaking bricks off of the sides of the roads with rocks, and then, or breaking rocks off with rocks to make more rocks to throw at people, like in Rust, bro. It's crazy. You're just breaking shit. But anyway, let's get back to this.
We've all seen the videos of vans driving up, handing out gas masks right before somebody blows up a car. It's time we found out, where's the money coming from? Who's really behind this? I think the American people deserve answers.
Joining us now is Republican Congressman Pat Fallon, member of the House Oversight Committee. So that's what the senator wants to know. Congressman, what do you want to know?
I want to know the same thing Senator Hawley wants to know, and also the American people deserve to know. These NGOs, or as I call them, BGOs, basically government organizations, are funded in large part by tax dollars, and tax dollars shouldn't be going to fund this kind of lawlessness, John. And
tax dollars shouldn't be going to a lot of things that they're going for, but NGOs are the perfect example. They basically have the same designation as charities do, except you can give money to them as the federal government. They're just like USAID. They're personal piggy banks and pocketbooks for deep state assets, right? USAID, CIA, all these other groups use NGOs to funnel goods to and from. I think recently we found out that Hillary Clinton's daughter had an entire house bought for her out of the coffers of USAID, or maybe it wasn't USAID, but it was one of these other NGOs. I wonder if I can find that. Here we go. The claim currently on social media foreign $84 million U.S. The former president serves as vice chair of the USAID has recently come into focus because the president administration dismantled the foreign aid agency, cracked down on federal spending, tech working on behalf of the USAID. But they don't even debunk it. They just explain the story. So yeah, this is it. This is the story. They don't explain it. Sounds true to me. If they don't try to debunk it, there's like overwhelming evidence that it's true. That's typically how this stuff works with our horrible media.
we need to have the answers, because in the future, our greatest job is to protect our citizens and our constituents, and not funding this kind of mayhem.
So here's what Caroline Leavitt said at the White House briefing about this yesterday.
And if you look at some of the imagery that we have received from the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and law enforcement who are on the ground,
with Caroline
you will see
Leavitt.
boxes and boxes of very professionalized masks and rioting equipment being dropped off for these protesters. So it's a good question the president is raising, and one we are looking into, about who is funding these insurrectionists and these rioters and these protesters and these illegal criminals.
Sedition. These seditionists.
You know, we have seen the video that there's a...
If you're funding this, you are taking part in a seditious conspiracy.
Group of people who are at an intersection, a pickup truck pulls up, and then...
Hassan.
Next thing you know, they're digging into boxes and handing out face shields. Peaceful protest. I've seen so many peaceful protests here in Washington, D.C. Haven't seen people wearing face shields. They're carrying signs and they're making a lot of noise and things like that. But, I mean, the only reason why you wear a face shield is because you, I would imagine, intend to get into a confrontation with police. And who's funding all of that? Because they're not cheap.
Look, to the people out there doing this type of shit, they're coming for you. Your lease is up, kids. Lease is up. There's a new sheriff in town. I don't believe that this stuff is going to go unpunished. I really don't. Let's move on. Oh, actually, we were just talking about USAID. Let's take a look. I saw this today. Let's see. Oh, I think I posted on my I keep doing that. I gotta get used to this. Here we go. Let's go back. Let's go to my main page here. We've got... Here we go. This is to codify the Doge cuts into law. We love this. This is huge. It's a lot of money. I believe that's $9.4 billion. That's great. That's great news. That means USAID is done forever unless they pass another bill putting in a new USAID. The only real story here other than that, which is really, really great news, if you were really concerned about the big, beautiful bill, this is like balancing that out. But the only other part of this story is that Thomas Massie voted no on it, which is super weird. Like, if you don't know, Thomas Massie's pretty based. His like motto is that he will never vote yes on a bill that raises the deficit by a single penny. And his big thing with the big, beautiful bill was that it's raising the spending and raising the debt ceiling. It's like, okay, well, you know, the counter argument was that to codify those tax cuts into law, the big, beautiful bill was really important. So, you know, that's up to you to decide what makes the most sense. I kind of lean toward a totally like, I don't see the benefit to omnibus packages. They should be removed entirely. It should be illegal to pass a bill that's more than 3 pages long and not written in plain English. You know, it should be pretty straightforward. I think that removing money from politics would fix a lot of things in our political system and our economy. And the only reason that's never happened is because most of the bills that get passed are approved by corporations and not by the people. There's a direct inverse relationship between what the people want to be passed and what actually gets passed, and it's because of those two issues that I just stated. So that's probably never going to get fixed unless you do it by executive order. And then you force them to codify it in law, because the thing is, if constituents knew the things that these people were shoving into bills, they would never vote those people back into office, or at least you hope not. But this is good news. You love to see it. This is one of those good bills where not only is it reducing our spending, which is apocalyptically bad right now, but it's also very simple and straightforward. Okay, if you look down here, what else was in this bill? Solely on the $9.4 billion in cuts to Doge, targeted programs, no other major provisions are noted in available sources. Okay, so that's good news. These are the kinds of bills that should be the only kinds of bills that get put in front of Congress, are the kind that are very simple, very straightforward. Are we cutting? Are we adding? What are we adding? Because these people work like 5 days out of the year. You know, there's no reason they couldn't be in there going through all these bills one by one, voting yes or no. No reason at all. All right, so let's move on. I've got one of my favorite people, RFK. If RFK hadn't have joined Trump, I probably would have voted for Trump. There was one point in time where there was a rumor floating around that Bolton was going to be going back into the Trump administration when he ran for this newest term. And I had considered not voting for Trump on that basis alone. But that's not what happened. So I voted for Trump. And also RFK dropped out and joined. One of these days we'll watch that speech he gave, because I think that it was the best political speech in the history of the United States, was RFK's speech when he dropped out. So I hope to watch that with you guys one day. But we only have a few more stories. I've got a lot to do tonight. I've got a lot of videos to cut and edit and get ready for human consumption. Let me see if I can do my RFK impression really quick. When prepping a clip for human consumption. It's really important to make sure there's no GMOs and that it's all natural ingredients fried with tallow. There you go. I did my best.
8 new advisors to serve on the CDC's vaccine recommendation panel. This after he fired all 17 sitting members earlier this week. Our health reporter, an expert in this field, Alex Tin, joins me now. Alex, always great to have you here at the family table. Walk us through what's happened and what it might mean.
Yeah, so just to recap for the people who weren't following this week, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., during the confirmation process, one of the big fears that people had was that he would do just this. He would fire all of the members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee and replace them with his own picks. What happened?
No, it wasn't. See, these people, they just rely that you didn't watch the original full footage of these hearings. They were just asking him if he was anti-vaccine, and the answer was no. And that's true. If we spent the rest of the stream watching all of the times going back to well before RFK had ran for any government positions where he said that he was not anti-vax, it would be too long of a stream. It would go into next morning. Okay, you can look at his book that he wrote years ago. He's not against it. I think that him and I have kind of the same opinion on this. I've had the same opinion on this since 2012, at least. The idea is, when you have a child that's born in the United States, the doctors take them and without asking, they inject them with, I think, more than 15 vaccines all at once. That's ridiculous. Whether or not they cause anything is not really the point. The point is that that's ridiculous. It's your child. You need to consent. And the child should get those vaccines, or at least some of them. But I believe in waiting until they're 2 and talking, and then introducing those vaccines slowly. By the time they're in school, they'll have had all their necessary vaccines. One of the ones that they give is the hepatitis vaccine, or not that, the HPV vaccine. Now, HPV is a sexually transmitted disease, basically. Why would a baby need that vaccine? Why? There's no logical argument as to that. There's none at all. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why a baby needs that. So,
On Monday is that he announced he was firing all of them. What happened on Wednesday is that he announced these 8 new picks, most of whom are either allies of him or have clearly criticized COVID-19 vaccines and requirements and vaccine safety in the past. And then the other thing he did, which I think a lot of people...
Well, if you also look at these panels of so-called experts, they're not really experts. They're corporate lobbyist advisors who paid for their positions. So, I don't know who the current people are, full disclosure, that RFK is talking about getting rid of or replacing or is replacing. But I'd be willing to bet that that's exactly what it is. Look at the FDA. Look at all those other organizations. The food pyramid is totally fucked up, and it was completely manufactured by corporate interests to sell more bread. There's no getting away from this snake. Okay? That's why we need to get this money out of politics. These are the problems that it causes.
People may have missed is that he also removed all of the career officials who sort of set the guardrails around this process, who set the agenda, who vet them, who planned the meetings. All those people
They're
are gone
probably
too.
compromised.
So now we have a June meeting coming up later this month, 25, 26, 27, where they're going to make votes on a whole bunch of vaccine recommendations, including for COVID-19, with a whole new set of advisors that have now been handpicked by the secretary.
Oh, no.
Going back to the confirmation process, does what happened this week conflict?
Okay, mark my words, and we'll come back to this when it does happen. I bet you that over 70% of the vaccines that are currently approved are going to get approved again, at least 70%. And Republicans are going to be mad about it. Just watch. I mean, really, the only thing in 2012, the other caveat to my beliefs were like take the thimerosal and the mercury out of vaccines and use a different preserving agent because those are shown to be bad for you. And other than that, you know, to and talking. That's it. Not anti-vax, not no vaccines. You know, I just got a tetanus shot the other month. So.
With what he said he was intending to do?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you ask. You know, the secretary claims that it doesn't conflict with his promise. He says that the promise he made to Senator Bill Cassidy, that's the top Republican on the Senate's Health Committee, was not that he wouldn't change the committee's membership, simply that he would allow Cassidy to have a say on who is on the panel, to pick somebody to join the panel. Cassidy didn't say that. Cassidy said initially that the only reason he was supporting Kennedy was because of this promise not to change the committee. Of course, Cassidy has also sort of changed the story now. He says that the commitment he got from Kennedy was not to change the structure of the committee as opposed to not changing who is on the committee. So clearly both sides sort of changing their story here.
But this has implications for, as you outlined, Alex, the structure.
I don't remember that, but he seems to be pretty fair on this. I don't know. Let's move on. We'll cover all that stuff and watch the whole hearing, I guess, another time. Now it seems like we have to. I'll just add it on the list of shit that we have to cover. Here we go. We've got someone flipping out on Tim Walz. I don't know why more people didn't flip out on Tim Walz while he was running for vice president. For this crazy, insane, stolen valor shit that he did, because it was pretty obvious that that's kind of what was going on, claiming he was in a war when he wasn't, you know, just wild. So let's take a look. Let's see what happens here. This is a short
from
clip.
the National Immigration Center.
Turn it down. He's supposed to be yelling and screaming, so I'm going to turn it down.
Justice Center and the Alliance for Immigrant.
Without objection, so ordered.
They speak for themselves.
Chair recognizes Mr. Stauber from Minnesota.
Thank you very much. Governor Walz, thanks for being here today. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I ask you to keep your remarks brief. I got a lot to go through. As you know, I spent 23 years as a law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota. You know that, right? Do you know that, yes or no?
I don't know how many.
Question. It's not a trick question.
I don't know.
I'll answer it for you. 23 years in Duluth.
Thank you for that.
So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
Getting unnecessarily dressed down already. This guy's on fire. He must be pretty pissed off. BLM riots.
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks, I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
I love it when they bring out pictures and post boards like it's an elementary school science presentation. It's my favorite part about these.
St. Clair burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest?
Yes, mostly.
Protest?
Watch, mostly.
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest, right? As I watched lawlessness devastate Los Angeles this past week, I was reminded of your failure to protect Minnesota from
the gentleman standing there?
Governor Walz, on May 29th of 2020, during your own press conference, you described your response to the riots during the 2020 Summer of Love as, quote, an abject failure. Governor, I couldn't agree with you more.
That's out of context.
And on May 17th, 2025, you were at the law school.
Hey, I wish it wasn't. At least then you'd be telling the truth.
Talking to the graduates. And we've talked about this. You called the enforcement of illegal immigrants a modern-day Gestapo. You've been asked 3-4 times if you would rescind that, and you won't. Will you rescind it? This is like the 5th time, yes or no?
Congressman, I was talking to law students about due process, and I said, you took an oath to due
Governor,
process.
was there a violent al-Shabaab terrorist who entered our country illegally, arrested in Minneapolis last year? Yes, there was. Were there 3 illegal child predators arrested by ICE in St. Paul earlier this year?
I certainly hope so. That's their job.
There was a fucking question, dude.
Are the
He
officers
was
who
asleep.
arrested the al-Shabaab terrorists or the child predators, are they Nazis or the Gestapo?
The tactics of wearing
They're
masks.
not.
Oh my god, dude. The fact that he was trying to even
The tactics of wearing
just take
masks.
the L. Just be like, no, those ones weren't.
Why did you?
Unidentified.
Why
due
did you
process.
tell us that they were the Gestapo? Do you believe that any of the violent illegal immigrants I have mentioned have a right to be in this country?
Yeah.
I don't know what their immigration status was.
Wow, he just told you they were illegal, bro. He just told you. This guy's gonna run for president. Watch it. 2028. He's running for president. Him, Pete Buttigieg, fucking, what's his name? Newscum. They're all going to be running for president. Otherwise, this guy should just give up and go be with his Trump-supporting family.
Criminals that ICE took off the streets of Minneapolis.
You did not say, Congressman, what the
Yeah, he did. He said they were illegal. You weren't listening.
Took 900 pounds of meth off the streets. Do you support
Holy
that?
shit. Holy shit. That's a lot. 900 pounds?
We certainly do.
Do you know that
Fentanyl.
ICE? Do you know that ICE assisted in that?
900 pounds is a lot of meth, dude. How much does an elephant weigh? I think that an elephant weighs like 2,000 pounds. 5,000 to 10,000, 15,000? 12,000 pounds. There we go. 12,000 pounds, not 2,000 pounds. Okay. How about a bear? 350 to 600 pounds. So more than a bear's worth of meth. That's crazy.
That those arrests and investigations. Do you support the assistance of ICE in that enforcement action? Yes or no?
I can't speak to that because we were not included in the briefing.
You don't know if ICE was part of it? I'm telling you they were.
I don't have that data. I would have to trust you.
Will you apologize?
I would have to trust you. These people are the worst. They're the worst. How do you vote for these people? How do you watch the news and vote for these people? I genuinely don't understand. People call me a right-wing lunatic. I'm like, I was at the Occupy Wall Street protests. Personally, I went there. I skipped school to go to Occupy Wall Street when I was in high school. You wouldn't. This is insane.
Our constituents and law enforcement officers for making them and their families less safe with your incendiary actions.
I'll congratulate them that they helped us work on the largest pension bill for
Governor.
Minnesota law.
Oh my God, dude. I can't with this guy. I can't. These people make me want to rage quit. I just, you guys want to finish it. I'm sure
Governor,
you want to finish it.
Claiming my time. Governor, what weapons did you carry in war?
Congressman, for 24 years, I carried.
No. What weapons did you carry in war?
What did you carry?
What did? I
You
tell you
know I
what, Governor,
misspoke.
you're
You know I
barking down the wrong
You
tree.
know I misspoke.
You lied to the
You
Minnesotans.
know I
You said
misspoke.
that you carried weapons in war.
Mr.
That is
Chairman.
stolen valor. You know what? My wife served 25,
Mr. Chairman,
24 years
Iraq,
in the
a little bit of
military,
respect for the
and
witness.
she's an Iraq war veteran.
You know what I mean?
She was
This
over in the
hectoring is not-
war
not-
zone. That's
On a
stolen
point of-
valor, and I'm so
point of order,
disgusted with
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
And so are the
Shut
people
up. Let him
in
talk.
Minnesota.
Let this man cook.
Just a minute.
Let this man cook. He is 100% right. And he is the only person in government that's embodied the anger that the average person has felt when Tim Walz waltzed out on stage and lied to everybody about being in wartime. Okay? He essentially deserted at the time of war. Called in favors to make sure he could get out of it, and then went ahead and claimed that he carried weapons in wars so that he could make a political argument about why they should be banned in violation of the Second Amendment of the United States of America, the place he's attempting to be elected to represent. He's a monster.
Stolen valor.
Mr.
You didn't
Chairman,
carry weapons
that's
in
not questioning
war.
the witness.
Congressman, my 24 years was
That's not
public for
Will you
many, many
apologize
years.
for lying?
Objection.
Will you apologize for lying?
Objection.
All right, hold on, pause.
That's not questioning a witness. That's not questioning a witness. You think
Point of
so,
order.
huh?
State your point, Mr. Rankin-Member.
No, you're
State
yelling
your
at him,
point.
You're
There we
hectoring.
go.
You're hectoring. You're hectoring.
All right.
You're
No,
hectoring.
she's right.
You didn't carry weapons.
She's right.
You didn't
Or
carry
he's
weapons.
right. Sorry, he's right.
Congressman, you.
He is absolutely right. He is absolutely right to be going off like this. You should have let him cook. He had his time. Whether his time was used effectively or not isn't up for you to decide. Okay? The Democrats get to do this whenever they want. Pester, quote unquote, hector people. It's just silly. Alright? He's finally holding his feet to the fire on some shit that he said and did wrong, and you're just holding him back. Let's finish this.
You didn't carry weapons in war, yes or no? You lied. Governor, what rank did you retire at? What rank did you retire at?
Congressman, I served my battalion as the command sergeant major.
That's not the question I asked. What rank did you retire at?
I retired as a master sergeant in EA.
Okay, here's your coin that says you're retired at a command sergeant major. That's
Says
your
I wore
challenge
that.
coin.
It
This
says
is-
I wore the rank.
This is that's right. You didn't retire, did you?
I did retire after 24 years.
Here is a picture of your coin, your challenge coin. I'm disgusted with you. I'm just.
Mr.
Governor,
Chairman, the
you
time
lie
is
when the
expired.
truth-
Congressman,
you lie
I'm-
when the
Gentleman's
truth is
time's
better.
expired.
You called half Trump supporters Nazis and fascists, and you know what? That's why the Minnesota Police and Peace Association did not support you in the last election.
Boom. He got wrecked.
Well, I
you're missing
support
in
them.
action.
Gentleman's
on
time.
behalf-
There's something so cool about them talking over the gavel. I'm not going to lie. It does sound good. It does sound good, guys. All right, cool. This was good. I liked this. I almost rage quit because I can't stand this guy. But this guy's great. What's his name? Pete Stuber? Pete Stauber? How do you say it? Whatever. I'm glad we watched that. This is a long one. Let's go to this. This one's also long. Oh, man. From an hour ago, this is breaking. I gotta kind of pick one of these. This is off topic. Let's go over here. Check my notes. I gotta we love that. Bookmarks, anything important here we need to see? Oh my gosh, yes, we do. There was a huge plane crash this morning. I don't know if there's audio in this video. Yes, there is. So I'm actually a private pilot. I'm wondering if I can shed some light on what happened here. I've not flown planes like this. I've only flown like little stuff. Piper Archers. That kind of thing. Okay. So this music sucks. We're gonna cut that music. Okay. They start descending and then he tries to lift the nose up more and that's not gonna work. Alright, so when you're oh my god. Oh my god. That's crazy. Okay, so here he's taking off. He should have started engaging the closing of the landing gears, I believe. Except, where's all of his power gone? Where did all of his power go? And then he just starts descending like that. So here's, when you panic behind the rudder here, behind the stick and rudder on these takeoffs, one of the important things to not do is to not raise your nose up too high, right? So let me see if I can show you. Hold on. I need like a picture I can play with. Let's see, do we have paint? Paint, yes, I do have paint. Okay, so here's what's happening, right? You've got a plane and it's got wings. Okay, and the air coming toward it is what's generating lift, right? Because the wing itself, has got the Bernoulli's principle is built into the wings. So what's happening is it's creating negative pressure here and positive pressure here by the wind flow, okay? And that's causing it to go up in the air. All right? So a stall is when your wings are getting too much here, and if there's nothing going over top, it's not creating that positive pressure. That's not happening. And so this is how a stall happens, is you've got too much drag, basically. Okay? And so when that happens, you lose altitude. Okay? So if you look at this video, when you're in this situation, if you're starting to stall, it's counterintuitive, but the first thing you actually want to do is you want to lower your nose. So if you're here, like this one, if you're here on this one, what you want to do is you want to actually lower it so that, oh, how did I lose? Oh my God, you want to actually lower it, right? Because if you lower it back down like this, the wind is going to be able to go back to doing what it's supposed to do. The wing is, and the air flow, which creates that negative pressure here and the positive pressure here, resulting in lift. Okay? But what this guy does is he's probably, I don't know. We always have to wait for the NTSB report to drop. But what this guy's doing here is, and you can see this in the video, it didn't help. Maybe whatever other issues going on is bad, but he went from this to try to take off and gain more altitude to this. This is what he went to. Okay, he increased his, it's called an angle of attack, right? So this is the plane, and it's got this imaginary dot here, and if you create a line, like a dotted line coming out like this, okay, this is its angle of attack. Below here, and it'll lose altitude, and above here, it'll stall. Okay, its angle of attack is this like range. So if he raises that from here, right, because your angle, so raising this doesn't change the angle of attack because it's where you need to be. So if you're here and you're gaining lift, or you're losing lift and you're here, if you go to here at an even more exaggerated angle, you're actually just gonna plop right out of the sky completely. Okay, and we can kind of see that happening right about, where was it? Okay. Maybe it was my imagination. No, it was right there. You can see it. It's very subtle because it's such a big plane. But you can see he's not getting enough lift. And then rather than, I guess he tried to abort his takeoff and crash landed. Man, that's wild. Look at that explosion. Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. That's a wild video. You know what? Forget this Karen Bass video. Nobody cares about her. Let's watch this. We've got Trump here taking some questions. Let's see if Trump is based today or if he's cringe today. Let's find out.
What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else, and then you're supposed to throw them out, and you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in.
Okay, we have cringe Trump today. They all have to go, dude. They all have to go. If you tie farmers' hands behind their... Look, farmers are not poor, okay? They make plenty of money. They do. They make great money. And it's not from government handouts, okay? They make a lot of profit. There is no reason they can't be paying Americans to do that same work. Go back to get them all. Stop fucking around. Don't be cringe Trump. Go back to being base Trump. Get all of them. I want to see more ICE agents sprinting across fields of cabbage to tackle illegal immigrants and escort them back to their home country.
Murderers from prisons and everything else.
I don't believe this claim at all, that they're hiring, they've got to get rid of these other ones and they end up hiring murderers and criminals. Like, what's the argument here? That they go from arguing good criminal illegal aliens to hiring worse criminal illegal aliens? How about just deport them too? Reformed, quote-unquote reformed criminals that come out of jail get jobs at farms? Like, that's not a problem. They're American citizens. They serve their time and now they're out. They can work. And they can work on farms. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to.
So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to...
Oh my God, dude.
Have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Trump has no balls sometimes, and he really needs to grow a pair and stop kowtowing. He's not going to win the hearts and minds of any of these Democrats, okay? It's not going to happen. They don't care. They do not care at all. All right? I used to live down here in Florida. Let's take a look at what DeSantis has to say.
Vehicle and threatens you. And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
Based, actually. Yeah, I remember when I lived in Florida, you have a lot of old people crossing the road and taking forever, and I always wanted to just run them right over. And now I could just say that they were impinging me and it's their fault. So I'm pretty into that. That's just a joke. I'm totally kidding. That's just a joke. That's just a ha-ha funny. Okay, I'm not serious at all. Just a joke. All right, look, guys, it's time for this stream to come to a close. We did a big, long stream yesterday. I hope you enjoyed yourself while you were here with me. I hope that you make it to the next one. You tell your friends to come here and like and subscribe on YouTube. That's youtube.com at Corbin Dauster. That's kick.com /Corbin Dauster. TikTok.com/Corbin's Briefs. Okay, S is at the end of both. And then same thing with Instagram. It's Instagram.com/Corbin's_Briefs. Okay, so slightly different, but basically the same. We managed to catch all of those sick branding URLs for all of our socials there. So don't forget to follow me on X. I'm there all day. And I also post my streams there too. We're live streaming on X now because we're trying to be based, right? So that's what we do. I really appreciate it. If you've made it this far, if you've watched along, you definitely like me and you like the show, and I really need it. I really, really, really need your help. Subscribe and follow where you can. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out tremendously. Tell your friends, share the show. No doubt that once this gets more popular, we're going to be throttled by YouTube and the algorithm, so please share the show with your friends. And yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining me. I'm really having a great time doing this for you guys. I'm glad that I made the decision to get back into streaming and shut down my other channels and really focus on this one here that I just made. So yeah, appreciate it. Oh, let me turn on some music while we close out. Not a lot else to say, I don't think, really. I'm going to be spending a lot of the rest of the night editing some shorts and some clips to post. Doing some short form content too. I want to make, we're taking these streams and cutting out episodes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the topic. And those will be up later. And yeah, watch those, like those, comment on those. Get involved, guys. If there's enough people who are interested, I will definitely be creating a Discord channel. My intention down the road is to be doing debates, moderating debates, and performing and participating in debates. This is my, second stream on the road to becoming a masturbator. Debater, I mean. So please join in. We'd love to have you. I'm so glad that you were here already. I love you. God bless you all. God bless America. And take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Pray for each other. Go to church. Stop watching porn. Eat healthy. Work out. Make yourself a better person. If you want to see a better world, if you want to see a better society, it starts by cleaning your room. It starts by doing the dishes, by taking care of yourself. Once you make those changes on the inside where you're thinking positively and you feel good and you're eating good, then you're going to turn around one day after making all those good decisions and look around and see that everything else has gotten way better because of it. That's what this is all about, guys. Make a decision today that's going to make you better. And the better you are, the better society gets. I know a lot of men out there, this is mental health awareness month. A lot of men out there have never received flowers. Rev Says I Do talks about this. I say that because he's married. Have never received flowers, and they won't until the day of their funeral. Alright? What you can do now, because you can't really buy yourself flowers, you can be the kind of person deserving of flowers. You can go and work, and you don't do it for others, you do it for yourself. This is the real answer. This is why these communists end up the way that they do. They have this mindset that they think that they can, if only they could bring about the revolution, everything would change for them personally. The world would be a better place. They can be the hero. They can be the crusader. They can be the main character in their isekai, anime story. But the reality of all that stuff is that you already are. And every second that you spend avoiding your responsibilities, every second that you spend wasting time that you should be spending making yourself the best version of yourself, is time stolen from yourself and stolen from society as a whole. Because if you want to bring about the revolution that matters, the revolution of thought, the revolution of freedom, of responsibility, it starts in your room and it grows out from there. When people see you and the things you do and how good you are, they'll be inspired. They'll be inspired to do it themselves. And once everybody is doing it, everybody's working hard, everybody's working out, everybody's eating healthy, everybody's taking care of themselves in body, mind, and soul, again, you're going to look around one day and you're just going to say, holy shit, everything's working great. Society is great. Everybody's having kids. Marriages are not breaking up anymore. And it's going to be because of you. And I mean that. In your life, you're going to meet 10,000 people. Those 10,000 people are going to be attached to 10,000 people. After a few factors, you're only 1 or 2 people removed from having affected directly more than 1 million people by your actions. In a very real way, you are personally responsible for the outcome of the entire planet, whether that's a good or a bad one. You decide. Thanks, guys. Take care. God bless. And good night, America.